Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of 10ish Minute Talks. I'm just some ordinary dude and I'm joined today by Zane. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's an honor to be here on the podcast or talk or whatever this is.
Well, thank you very much. You might also know Zane as a Radiant End on Reddit, for example. I mean, that's your username on there, isn't it? He's on here with me today, and our topic of discussion is going to be Lana Loud. Now, Lana is a character, I like Lana quite a lot. If I'm honest, I'd probably rank her on the lower half of my favourite sisters, but that's not a slander against her. I do like her character very much. It's just obviously I like some sisters more than others. But she is good. She has had some really good episodes, actually. What about you? What's your opinion on Lana as a character?
Lana deserves a lot of episodes now. Like, she doesn't have a lot of episodes of her, maybe by herself, or maybe with Lola.
Yeah, they do have a lot more focus on Lola than Lana. I think everyone can agree on that.
Yeah. They had the little Lola and Lana dynamic in season one, or at least a lot of things going on in season one. But her own episode was Toes and Tiaras.
Yeah.
Lincoln,
Yeah. And then in season 2, we also had Frog Wild and patching things up. And then in season 3, I think she only had one episode, Scales of Justice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Or I think it's Absent Minded from season 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So she'd never really had that much focus compared to some of the other sisters. I think it's safe to say not all the sisters get an equal amount of focal stories and screen time. Some clearly get more than others. Lola being a prime example of someone who gets... Lisa as well in recent seasons has had quite a lot. Clearly the writers have more ideas for certain characters than others. But to be fair, it's not that bad of a deal for Lana because she does get some of the show's absolute best. And the one that sticks out the most to me would be season 4's Game Off, which at a time I just sort of thought was good, but now I'd actually call it one of my all-time favourite episodes of the show, easily in my top 5. Phenomenal story. It's a very mundane premise, but it's just executed so well. The humor's pretty good. The sibling dynamics are tremendous in that episode. It's actually quite heartwarming in places as well. It's just an all-round really fun, enjoyable 11-minute episode. Yeah, I think everyone likes Game Off, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Game Off is a pretty decent episode to me because a lot of things happen in Game Off. A lot of things, a lot more things that happen in an episode. But They try their best to defend off Lincoln to make sure he finds out about the game, or hope he doesn't find out about the game. That Lana kind of ruined it a bit. So
yeah,
I like that. That idea of an episode is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it was season 4 is a really good season for Lana. Actually, after she had barely any episodes in season 3. Not only did you get Game Off, but you also got Sister Act, where she was paired with Lola, which was a really good episode, and you also got Wheel and Deal, which was another really good Lana episode. So she had quite a lot of good outings in that season, I think.
Yeah.
And she was also one of the main characters in the Dark and Story Night fictional story that the siblings told, so she had quite a lot of presence in that episode as well. Another one of season 4's best, actually.
Yeah.
So that was a really good turning point for her character, because for a long time I always sort of falsely concluded that Lana was a bit of a flat character, maybe because I'm comparing her to Lola, who obviously is so multi-layered at this point and had so much development. But Lana has had quite a lot as well, because on the surface she's the stereotypical tomboy girl who likes dirt and cars and stuff like that, but there are layers of depth to her. Obviously she has a nurturing side that comes out with animals. She has begun to enjoy video games, an interest she now shares with Lincoln, which we'll come back to shortly. You know, she has some emotional vulnerability actually. Like she can be shown to cry or get upset sometimes, which sort of contrasts her to Lynn, who's always trying to be like the toughest girl ever, sort of thing. But Lana's willing to sort of let her emotions show a bit more. And on top of that, you know, there's there are some like other things about Lana, you know, that make her a bit more three-dimensional, like, than some people perhaps realise. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, Lana has a lot of good episodes as well, but, like, one of her best episodes to me is like Stride with the Party or whatever.
Oh, yes.
That's a pretty good episode with Lola and Lana.
I'll tell you
and
what.
Like,
sorry, you carry on.
No, you can carry on.
With Strive for the Party, I mean, some people would criticise the one-sided conflict, but then again, it doesn't really matter because the biggest strength of that episode is Lana and Lola's voice actor, Gray Griffin. Obviously, phenomenal voice actor in general, but here she delivers one of her career best performances. She's playing both twins, and remember that scene where Lana finds out that Lola has been deceiving her, and she gets all teary-eyed and said it's not fair? And that scene is just played so brilliantly. Like, she plays both characters, and she just plays the whole scene so well. Like, it's such a, you know, a big emotional moment between these two twins, and she just sells it excellently. And, you know, that really elevated the episode for me. Not that there weren't other good things about it as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, so obviously you've got episodes in the recent seasons. Lana's had quite a few good outings. Obviously Sweepstakes is another one. That was a really good Lana episode. Again, that shows, like, despite the fact that she's this outdoorsy girl, she actually has quite a lot of anxieties. Which is another interesting layer to her character. She actually doesn't like going around to other people's houses and spending time with, like, people, even if she considers them friends. And that's kind of interesting, because you'd expect someone as outgoing and you know, as Lana Loud not to really be bothered by that sort of thing. But that is quite an interesting take on, like, interesting spin on her character as well.
Yeah, so, like...
Any other episodes in particular that you'd say were particularly outstanding that starred Lana in a big role?
What about Snow Way Out?
Oh yes, the end of season 2. She gives up the ticket she wanted to see Bobby Fletcher because her siblings were struggling with the cold and were trapped inside the burping burger, and that was a pretty good one actually. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good episode.
That one I sort of forgot about that one, but yeah, that is a pretty good episode as well. So with Lana, there is more multi-layeredness to her character than perhaps you would think. But one of the most interesting things, certainly, about her character is, like, how her relationship with certain siblings has changed over time. Like, obviously, there's one with Lola. She used to fight and bicker a lot more with Lola in the earlier seasons. If you notice, they were brawling and arguing a lot. In the later seasons, they seem to have got closer, despite their differences. They seem to be a lot, like, on more friendly and amicable terms. They often are shown getting along. They even have, like, this weird sibling thing, like, where they can smell where each other are and understand each other, and it's like, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's more like a Lana thing, though. So yeah.
I think Lola actually shares that trait with her. I think in one episode they did show that. I can't remember which one it was, but that is a thing that they've established about the twins later on. Yeah. Oddly enough, Lola, despite being the prim and proper one, is probably the more aggressive and abrasive of the two, which is an interesting take on it.
I think, like, the Lola and Lana dynamic kind of starts up, like, building better and, like, patching things up, because, you know, that episode
was solid. It did have a few things like weighing it down, most notably the pointless Lincoln and Clyde subplot that took away valuable screen time and forced the main plot to be a bit rushed and plotted out, but, you know, it was still good. But obviously, apart from Lola, one of the main things with Lana is that you could argue she's one of the sisters closest to Lincoln. And the reason I say this is because not only because they team up in quite a lot of episodes, like in Frogwild and Game Off Wheel and Deal and so on, but like
because they share a lot of similarities and stuff.
Yeah, like in the earlier seasons, if you remember, they made a big deal about how somehow, despite having 10 sisters, Lincoln didn't share anything in common with any of them, which was just ridiculous. Let's be honest. I think that was Chris Savino's influence because he wanted to make the show about a sort of like guy down on his underdog who's constantly being outnumbered by so many sisters because apparently he had that or something growing up. But it was ridiculous. Like, you're going to have 10 sisters and not one of them shares a common interest with Lincoln Loud? Come on.
Yeah, like one of them has to share at least one little thing with you. Like,
yeah.
They can be the littlest thing with you and they can share it.
Yeah, and it's like, it took 4 seasons, but finally it's like Game Off was a really big turning point, not just for Lana's character, but for the series, because it's like, we're now finally allowing Lincoln to have certain things in common with his sisters, and perhaps the most notable one is his shared interest in video games with Lana, because she didn't just forget that she liked video games after that episode. They've shown it again later on in Season 5's Glory Days. We see them playing a video game together. In the road trip arc, in a random blink and you'll miss it scene in that, again they're shown playing video games together. That shared interest between them has stuck. And you could say this makes Lana probably one of the closer siblings to Lincoln. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what about you? What's your take on Lana and Lincoln's sibling bond over time? How it's changed?
Yeah, like Lincoln and Lana's sibling bond over time has been kind of good, but then not really spiking any more entrants at that kind of time because like. Only thing they share is games. Like they couldn't share anything else different.
Yeah,
I mean, like, it be different.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think with Lana, it's almost like she's a fun character. Maybe part of the reason she's not that focused on, or maybe not necessarily. Would you say she's one of the more popular siblings amongst the fandom? I'm not sure.
I don't know. No, she's actually not that popular in the fan base. Is like total sisters thing.
Yeah, it's almost like
it's always like Lynn and Lori being like the top ones, but never.
Is it? I mean, Lynn was the most hated sister of the bunch. But I suppose
people I met, they always like Lynn more. So like, I don't even know.
I suppose it depends on the corner of the fandom you interact with. If you're on the wiki, quite a few people like her on there. The Reddit's sort of mixed on her. DeviantArt, she has her fans, but there's a lot of people who don't like her on there, from what I've experienced.
Yeah, DeviantArt has the weirdest ships on there, so don't go to that territory yet.
So, yeah, it's like, basically, that depends. But with Lana, it's almost like, you could almost say, I suppose you could actually make this comparison. Compare the Loud House to My Little Pony. If Lynn is Rainbow Dash, Lana's Applejack. Perhaps that's fair, or I don't know. Or what? Lynn is the more, actiony, the one who sort of stands out because of her boisterous, bombastic, outgoing personality.
Yeah, she has like a more tomboyish like side of Lana. So
Lana's a bit more laid back, a bit more level-headed, which is strange because she's the younger of the two. But there you go. But yeah, it's like. She's a bit more down to earth, quite literally, because she is a very earth-like girl. She plays in mud and everything, but it's like you compare her to the more bombastic, loud sisters. Like Luna is very loud. She's popular. Lynn is very outgoing. She has her fans, her haters as well, but she has her fans. Lola, despite belonging to an archetype which doesn't particularly warrant her being a fan favourite. She's got such a presence, such a charming, outgoing personality that really stands out. And of course, she gets a lot of episodes and a lot of development as well, and that helps. And it's like I think some of the other sisters do overshadow Lana somewhat. Yeah.
The one sister in particular that can overshadow her completely is I think. You could probably say maybe Lucy, I guess.
Lucy. Well, I don't know. With Lucy, well, I did actually speak about this with Fictional Media Buddy, but Lucy, again, I wouldn't Well, again, people say, apparently, according to the casual fans, aka the young kids, Lucy's supposed to be the most popular character amongst them. Or so I've heard. There's no real evidence, it's just sort of theory, but that may be why she's the one who appears in all the like random Nickelodeon crossover games and stuff like that. But in the actual like Loud House fan base, like the fan base that we interact with, I don't think she's particularly that popular.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she's somewhere in the middle of like the popularity, like within like the fandom wiki and the Reddit and all that. I think part of the reason for that is because in a lot of recent seasons, most of her episodes have been with the Morticians Club, which generally aren't that good all the time. And I think Lucy works better with the family than with the other goths, if that makes sense. And maybe that's why she's not everybody's favourite particularly. But whereas with Lana, like she went from having okay episodes early on to having like better and better episodes later on, and it's like season 7 she had another standout episode. What's that one called where she in fact they were going to give up Vanzilla, it was dying, and she had to work with Lincina and Leonard to fix it or something.
Yeah, that was an episode in season 7.
Yeah, that was another really good one. So Lana's had a lot of great vocal stories, and she is a really good character. And she has a very good dynamic with Lincoln. I think it's just the case that some sisters will stand out more than others, and because Lana is a bit more level-headed out of the group, I don't think she particularly stands out as much as some of the others, and maybe that's why she's not necessarily the most popular sister, but she is still very good.
Yeah, everyone has their like pros and cons. Like for every single sister, Lana's one of them. Where she has like a lot of pros and a lot of cons. But like you can like them, or hate them. But
I mean, different people will appeal to different characters will appeal to different people. If you're into like cars and animals and stuff, you might really love Lana. If you're into music, you'll love Luna. If you're into sports, you'll love Lynn, etc., etc. Speaking of animals, one episode that should happen, a Casa Grande's crossover episode, Lana and Becca Chang. That would be a good story. Because obviously Lana likes animals to be free, and Becca works at a zoo, so you could easily create a conflict there where Lana perhaps learns something, or they understand each other.
One episode, maybe like a Lana and Adelaide one too.
Yeah, in fact, an episode, Lana, Lola, Adelaide, Carl. Put those 4 together and see what happens. But they'd rather bring back Sergio for an episode in Party Foul. That's apparently their priority. Because nobody asked for that.
Yeah, there's a whole episode too. A doll would be pretty good.
Yeah,
they already done that.
Yeah, there are a lot of episodes where you could bring the two casts from the Loud House and the Casa Grandes together and make them good. But hey, we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're nearly 20 minutes in, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Anything else you want to say about Lana?
Just actually, never mind. I don't have anything else to say about Lana.
I think we've covered everything pretty much, haven't we? Yeah, good character. Had lots of great episodes. That's pretty much. Yeah, episodes. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much all there is to say. Yeah, probably a little bit underappreciated, but hey, there you go. I guess she's not really the character that's meant to stand out the most, but she's still pretty fun. And of course, Grey Griffin plays her brilliantly, as you'd expect.